Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Valia Bhatnagar, and I'm with you with the area of AFM. I hope I'm audible clearly, everyone, and the PPT is clearly available, visible to you as well. Chaliye, let's continue further. My name is Niharika So let's continue further. Today I'm going to talk about the topic of trial balance, rectification of errors, and adjusting the same. So when we talk about the entire area of trial balance, what is exactly a trial balance? Let's begin with this portion. When we talk about the area of trial balance, what is it called? When we talk about trial balance is actually a statement. Trial balance is a statement. A statement which is basically a working paper. How do we define a working paper, everyone? In this working paper, you will find a few things. Number one, in this working paper, you have both the sides debit and credit. Number one. Number two, this is prepared after you have prepared your journal, then you have prepared your ledger, and then comes this point. In this case, it is always equal. That means the debit side is always equal to credit side. It doesn't have a specific nature. That means it is neither real nor personal nominal. It has nothing of that sort. This is clearly a statement where we record everything. All the important aspects of the business are recorded here. Okay, so as you already know, when we talk about the various areas of the accounting, we have certain important things. What are those things? Number one, when we talk about the area of assets, assets can be said as something which is always starting from the debit side. Okay, so assets are something which are on the debit side, while liabilities are something which will always be on the credit side. The rule itself states that when we have assets in the business, the assets are always on the debit side. This is the basic nature of accounting. In accounting, one of the basic things are there when we talk about cradle, capital, revenue, asset, drawings, then liabilities and expense. LRC will always be on the credit side. Your capital, your revenue, and the liabilities, while your assets, your drawings, and your expenses are always on the debit side. The same rule would be reflected when you see the trial balance as well. And what are the basics there? The basics are assets will always be on the debit side, liabilities will be always on the credit side, the equity will always be on the credit side, the drawings are on the debit side. See, D for drawings, D for debit. Revenues will always be on the credit side and expenses on the debit side. So you can see A, D, and E. Aid are always on the debit side. Their balances are always debit. For example, if I talk about cash, I can never say that I have minus 20 rupees in my pocket. You just can't have it. You cannot have minus 20 rupees, minus 40 rupees in your pocket there. Right? So that's the particular point regarding this error. Now, what is it that we have to consider? When we talk about the credit side, on the credit side, we have our capital. Capital being positive is always on the credit side. If you have withdrawn too much money and it becomes negative, it would be shown on the debit side. Liabilities are always on the credit side because it's a burden, you have to pay it off. And the reason behind this scenario to earn is the area of revenue. So entire area of the trial balance goes like this. And when we talk about the area of accounting cycle, what do you mean by accounting cycle? Accounting cycle is the way through which we prepare the books of accounts. We prepare the books of accounts by first of all recording you maintain your source documents. Matlab, there is an invoice that you saw. There is a bill that you saw. Okay, I purchased something. I sold something. And then on the basis of that, you prepared your journal. Individual transactions noted down on the basis of the sequence. Then comes the next area, that it is ledger. How do you define ledger? Ledger is basically the tabular form. Obviously, there were n number of transactions they required compiling, they made into ledger. Then we compile them further because we cannot understand things. They said, how can you understand this? Just prepare a statement for the same. Now. So you compile things together, you form the proper statement, which is called a trial balance. And from the trial balance, you compile your profit and loss account, and your balance sheet. So this becomes the base. The trial balance is the base for your preparation of financial statements, which are to be shown to the users of accounting. Okay, so that's the next point. Now comes the question. Acha everyone, if a company, because we have talked about trial balance, and now I'm going to talk about a few errors that happen. If a company fails to record the purchase of inventory on credit, how will it impact the trial balance? Assets will be overstated, liabilities will be understated, equity will be overstated, or trial balance will not have any effect. What happened is a company fails to record the purchase of inventory on credit. Acha, what happened is I purchased inventory. Matlab I have got goods, है ना? Yes, I have got goods. And if I have bought goods, then what happened is I have bought goods, and on the purchase of those goods, the next thing that happened is on the purchase of goods, I haven't paid for it. So the creditor or the supplier is still there, and the goods are known as stock. The entire journal entry is missing. That means the debit side is also missing and the credit side is also missing. If both are missing, what will happen? Can you trace it down? Always remember, when such things are not traceable at all, if you cannot even find out what happened in the entire scenario, then what will happen? वैसे तो ना, if the entire thing is not recorded, then the trial balance will not be affected. That would be the correct answer. If the company fails to record the purchase of inventory on credit, now if the inventory, if it is one-sided, this question has to be elaborated further. If it is one-sided, if you have noted just the one particular thing, that is inventory, and you haven't noted down the creditor, then it would be different. If the entire journal entry is missing, then the debit and the credit side both are still same. So D would be the answer. That is, the trial balance will not be affected in this case. Okay? This is called the error of omission. Error of omission means anything which you tend to forget to record. When you tend to record something, it is called errors of omission. Okay. Acha everyone, the PDF of the same is available with you. You can download the app, and this is where you will find the particular PDF of this particular class. So what you can do is you can check it out after the class for the same. The trial balance will not be affected. This is called error of omission. Acha, next question everyone. When we are talking about, obviously there are errors as well, because to error is human. So if it say to err is human, everybody can make errors. So how do we consider, how do we come out of those errors? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of a reversing entry, and how does it impact the trial balance? Acha, what happened is I found that there was something missing or something was wrong. So what I did was I reversed the journal entry. Matlab, to correct the errors, it has no impact. To reverse adjustment entries, it affects the trial balance temporarily. And to close the temporary accounts, it permanently affects the trial balance. Or to reconcile statements. Acha, when we reverse the particular journal entries, what will happen? Basically, na, in this case, when we do this part, that is, you adjust all those things. This can be done to no, the answer should be to correct the errors. Reversing entries are put for that particular thing. If there was an error, so we have to just rectify that error. So for the rectification of error, what will you do? You will correct it. You know? So in this case, the correct answer would be to correct errors. It has no impact on trial balance. For example, I found out there was an error on the debit side. So what I'll do is I'll reverse it, and then it would be gone. So my debit will be equal to credit. So everything in the books of accounts would be reinstated. Okay, now comes the next question. Now the question says, if a company mistakenly records an expense as an asset, now what has happened? An asset and an expense. Okay, how will it affect the trial balance? Such an error when we talk about if a company mistakenly records an expense as an asset. See, both of them assets are on the debit side and expenses are also on the debit side. If we talk about the trial balance, in this case, what will happen? The face of it, obviously, if 10,000 was to be shown here, 10,000 is shown here. The difference in terms of the total will be fine, but the presentation of your trial balance is wrong. Something which was an expense is taken as an asset, or something which was an asset is taken as an expense. So, what will happen? Your answer would go wrong. And when your answer would go wrong, how will you correct it? You will have to find a way to correct this situation. Then this means that the trial balance will be out of balance. In this case, there is a presentation issue. Okay? So the problem is of presentation. Okay. So comes the next question. If the company fails to record the depreciation, everyone, the company has failed to record the depreciation in the adjusting entries. So, pata hai, there are two kinds of trial balance. One is without adjustment or unadjusted, in which we record just the basics that we got. And then what we do is, acha, there was depreciation, there was some outstanding expenses, depreciation, some outstanding expenses, and just a moment. First thing is depreciation. Then comes the outstanding expenses. Then comes the area of accrued incomes, the incomes which are yet to be received, and any other errors that we have just found. When these errors are not yet adjusted, that is called unadjusted trial balance. And when it has been adjusted, that means all these errors are corrected, then it becomes adjusted trial balance. Okay, so what they do, they prepare this particular statement. So if the company fails to record depreciation, what is happening? In your asset side, what will happen? My asset is still shown at 10 lakh while the depreciation was of 2 lakh. So the trial balance will be unaffected, or assets will be overstated, equity is understated, liabilities are understated, equity is overstated. Equity here means capital, everyone. The other name of equity is capital. The trial balance will show an equal or opposite effect. Always remember, what has happened is there was a depreciation. Depreciation is an expense. Expense will lower down our profit. So technically what will happen is our assets would be shown at a price which is higher than that. So technically my assets are overstated and the equity is understated. The value of my capital is understated because what I've done is from the profit, what has happened? We had to consider the area of depreciation there in the area of profit. So one thing is there, the assets are not at their correct value. Okay? What is the primary purpose of preparing the trial balance before the financial statements? To ensure all the transactions are recorded accurately, to calculate the net income for the period, to facilitate the preparation of tax returns, or to determine the cash flow position of the company. As you already know, when we go back, I'm going back, we talked about this area. Trial balance is the base. What did I say? That it is the base, or it is the reason that we are able to compile everything from the ledger, and that compilation leads to the area of the financial statements. Then everyone, then comes that is to ensure that all the transactions are recorded accurately. One particular reason for it is to have accuracy. Acha everyone, if an adjusting entry for accrued revenue is omitted, then how will it affect the trial balance? If an adjusting entry is overstated, acha, is omitted altogether, there is an asset which is not recorded. Okay, an asset and the person from whom the amount is due. So how does it affect the trial balance? What would be the answer there? Okay, if I have to correct it now, the trial balance will still match. Total would be wrong. So this should be the exact answer, everyone. Okay. Just paraphrasing the question a little bit better. When we talk about you didn't note something on the debit side, you didn't note something on the credit side. Obviously, the thing is missing from both the sides. So technically, there won't be a problem. So what is the issue that we'll be solving out? The trial balance will match what wrong total would be there. Okay. The answer is D. Acha, what is the significance of a zero balance in the trial balance, everyone? If we have zero balance in the trial balance, then this indicates all accounts are closed. It suggests that no error were made in the accounting period. It means the trial balance is incorrect, or it signifies the debit is equal to credit. When when we'll see that some ledger has zero balance, for example Mr. X has zero balance on the overall, so this means in on the debit side if it was 20,000, on the credit side it was also 20,000, there was no need for a balancing figure. Thus in this case what has happened is the debit was equal to the credit altogether, so there was no discrepancy कि अच्छा it is varying at all. Comes the next question, everyone. In this case, if a company records an expense twice, so there was an expense which was written here one time and then two times, and but does not realize the error, how will it affect the financial statements? Net income will be overstated, net income will be understated, total assets will be understated, both A and C. What would be the answer, everyone? Okay, if a company records an expense twice but does not realize the error. Obviously, in this case, one problem that will occur is your if it is an expense which is recorded twice, then your net income is understated. Why? The expense has been noted twice. Obviously, it is going to hurt my pocket. So, if something's gonna hurt my pocket, then net income will be understated in this case. What is happening is if record expenses recorded twice, your expense is more, your income is less, then ultimately it would look like you are facing a loss while you are not facing a loss. Okay. Next point. When preparing a trial balance, what is the impact of an error in the beginning balance of the account carried forward from the previous period? Matlab, there is a sin that happened in the last year. If there's a error that has happened in the last year, what should I do about it, everyone? How do I come out of the scenario? Chali. Now let's talk about this. If we talk about the trial balance, what is the impact of an error? If we talk about an error which has happened in the previous year, then in this case your trial balance is definitely not correct. It is something which is out of balance. See why? Because there was a sin which is being carried for a longer period. So how do we deal with it? The trial balance will not be affected. The trial balance will be out of balance. The error will be automatically correct itself, or it depends on the type of error. In this case, the correct answer is the trial balance will be out of balance. Okay, I think Acha, we were done with this. This is a repetition. What is the purpose of post-closing trial balance, everyone? What do you mean by the post-closing trial balance? When we talk about the post closing trial balance, it means a trial balance which is created after post closing simply means that once you have finalized your books of accounts, then you check it to verify the accuracy of closing, to check if temporary accounts are closed, to prepare the financial statements, or both. See, post closing is when you have done with it. So technically, you're just verifying your previous entries. And if all the temporary accounts, whatever you had opened, it has been closed down now, because ultimately debit should be equal to credit. So in this case, the correct answer should be both A and B. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. It says when preparing a trial balance, which of the following errors is more challenging to detect? Commission, omission, original entry, or reversal? Say difficult. One of the most difficult entries are what? Entry of error of original entry. If the first entry that you were recording, it went wrong. If the initial entry went wrong, then whatever you try, once it's wrong, everything is down the drain. Your entire working will definitely be affected badly, right? So, in this case, what would be the answer? In this case, there is one point which makes things clear, and it is that in an organization, what's happening is that the error which is there in the very first position, that means when you are recording it in the books of accounts, then everything goes down the drain. So in this case, the correct answer is error of original entry. If the beginning part is wrong, then entire thing is wrong. So that's the point. So okay, so let's end the session here itself, everyone. But before I end my session, there are certain things that we would like to discuss. That is, let's go on to our website, that is Adda 24/7. Go on to the area of www.adda247.com. If you go on to our website, this is our website, that is www.adda247.com. What you can do is you can also download our app and use it. It is a better option to look forward to. Okay, so what am I doing? I am going on to the area of JIB and CIB. If you open up the JIB and CIB area, you will find our JIB CIB Mahapack 2.0. You will find JIB Mahapack 2.0 and JIB plus bank promotion. Preparing for bank promotion, then this is the one for you. If you're thinking about JIB and CIB combined, then this is the one. If you're just thinking for the JIB, then this one is for you. Let's talk about the JIB first. If we talk about only JIB, this has got 600 hours of live classes. Then we have 276 test series. Then we have the area of the ebooks are there. 882 videos are there. All these things are available for you. The validity is for 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. In this Mahapack, you will get everything. That means the previous classes, current classes, and the classes that are going to come in future. Matlab, everything is opened up for you. English medium, bilingual, both open. PDF of the classes available, recordings of the classes available. Then when we talk about 2.0, that means our mini marathons, our Maha marathons, everything is available for you. What you need to do is just click on the area of buy now, use the code Y541, and you will get a discount of 77% flat. That means it is available for 6898.85. So if you're looking forward to it, then kindly go ahead and buy it as early as possible and make your preparation proper, right? Just look forward to it. So check it out. Thank you so much, everyone.